A movie can get pretty far along the production cycle before it gets canceled, sometimes for bizarre reasons. From an E.T. sequel to a movie that might have been canceled by the LAPD, these amazing movies were canceled for the strangest reasons. After the original Superman franchise perished in a ball of nuclear fire, executives were in a quandary as to how best to rekindle the Man of Steel's cinematic mojo. Apparently, in the 90s, infamous producer John Peters had commissioned a couple of different drafts of a script entitled Superman Reborn. The second draft was actually welcomed by Warner execs until it fell into the hands of Kevin Smith, then just a comic fan with only 3 features to his name. Smith apparently rewrote the script completely, turning in a draft called Superman Lives. Supposedly, it reads a whole lot like today's Marvel blockbusters while adhering to Peters' mandate that there be no stupid suit and no flying. Oh, and Superman had to fight a giant spider in the end. After a second draft, none other than Tim Burton came on board to direct, with Nicolas Cage set to star, at which point Peters promptly trashed Smith's script. After several more rewrites, Burton got bored, Peters got his giant spider plugged into the end of Wild Wild West, and Superman Lives died. However, we did get one beautifully strange picture of Nicolas Cage as Superman from the canceled project. Still, it's not exactly snakeskin.
My snakeskin jacket! Thanks, baby! Did I ever tell you that this here jacket represents a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom?
10 Things I Hate About You helped to bolster the movie star credentials of Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and earned its place in the hearts of viewers with its wry humor and ultra-90s soundtrack. In 2012, at pretty much precisely the moment the film's target audience started to become capable of nostalgia, a belated sequel called 10 Things I Hate About Life went into production and then suddenly vanished. After several weeks of filming in late 2012, production halted for reasons that are completely unclear and just never started again. A lawsuit filed by the film's production company accused star Evan Rachel Wood of changing her mind about finishing the film during the break in production, while Wood insisted that the producers had run out of money and needed a scapegoat. Much like the film's production, the litigation seems to have simply petered out, and 10 Things fans were left in the lurch with nothing but a trailer. After shelling out $1 million for the script in 2005 and attaching Peter Jackson as producer and the then unknown Neil Blomkamp as director, Microsoft mounted the most ill-advised pitch for a Halo movie that they possibly could have. They delivered copies of the script to unimpressed studio execs via hired actors in Master Chief costumes. Oh, and Microsoft's terms included full creative control and as big a budget as they wanted. Interested parties had 24 hours to decide.
That is, unless, of course, you pay me $100 billion.
Nearly every studio passed immediately, with Fox and Universal agreeing to partner up. But more problems ensued. Microsoft's continuing inability to speak Hollywoodese frustrated executives, and studio head Tom Rothman hated Blomkamp. After several months and millions of dollars in pre-production, Universal demanded that the producers make budget cuts. The producers said no, and Halo bit the dust. According to one involved party, Microsoft's unwillingness to reduce their deal killed it. It got too top-heavy. The movie could have been Avatar. Perhaps no author has proved more unadaptable than H.P. Lovecraft, the writer who gave the world most of the Cthulhu mythos. But if anybody was qualified to bring one of the pioneering author's most seminal works to the screen, it would be director Guillermo del Toro. Despite the challenging nature of the material, Del Toro was ready to let cinematic deity James Cameron produce and Tom Cruise star in order to get a proper adaptation of the famous story on film. Unfortunately, the project fell apart over one point of contention: the rating. While they didn't blink at the proposed $150 million budget, Universal simply couldn't abide an R rating for the movie. As Del Toro told Collider, "We thought we had a very good, safe package. The R was what made it. If Mountains had been PG-13 or I had said PG-13, I'm too much of a Boy Scout. I should have lied, but I didn't." Before Samuel L. Jackson gave the world the version of Nick Fury that we all know today, George Clooney was in talks to star in a Nick Fury movie. Now, today it's really hard to imagine anyone but Jackson as Nick Fury, but Clooney did sort of fit with the older white version of Nick Fury from the comics. However, according to Business Insider, at some point Clooney picked up an issue from the 2001 comic series written by Garth Ennis and was forever put off the idea of playing Nick Fury. That was enough to derail everyone's movie aspirations. Clooney thought the gratuitously violent comics might translate into a gratuitously violent film, and he evidently didn't think that was a smart career move. However, we so far haven't seen Samuel L. Jackson do anything close to the grotesque violence of the 2001 comic series, so Clooney's decision might have been a little hasty. Although in Clooney's defense, we suppose anyone would be a little gun-shy when his career took a hit after appearing in Batman and Robin. After all, you know what they say about Hollywood.
It's a cold town.
It's hard to imagine, but there was a time when the great Steven Spielberg didn't know much about making movies. Way back in 1967, toward the start of Spielberg's career, he worked on a short film named Slipstream, which Empire called a tale about adrenaline junkie bicycle racers designed as an exercise in directorial showmanship. Spielberg worked on the film over the course of a few weekends, but then ran out of money. That's because he figured on being able to make the film for around $5,000, which frankly sounds insane even in 1967 dollars. Granted, Slipstream was supposed to be a short film, but in the mid-1960s, the average feature-length movie was 127 minutes long and cost around $1.5 million. $5,000 for a short film seems a little optimistic, especially considering that in those days, the average movie cost about $12,000 per minute of film. That's not to say nothing good came of the experience. Without Slipstream, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Empire of the Sun, and The Color Purple might have never been made. While searching for a cameraman for Slipstream, Spielberg was introduced to cinematographer Alan Daviau, who worked on all three of those future projects. City of Lies, a thriller about the murders of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., has an especially unusual cancellation story. Filming had already wrapped up when producers decided to pull the plug. Now, when you think about the money that's spent on a big Hollywood blockbuster, it seems insane to think that the people involved might see it all the way through to the end of filming and only then decide that it's not worth taking to the big screen. So what happened to City of Lies? Well, conspiracy theories abound. According to Mandatory, the original release date of May 2018 was pushed back to September 2018, and then it was postponed indefinitely, which is really just another way of saying it was canceled. There were rumors that the cancellation had something to do with Johnny Depp's bad reputation, but there were more sinister rumors too. Director Brad Furman says he received multiple warnings from parties close to the case that the LAPD was not cool with him telling that particular story. One person even advised him to get a burner phone and cover his webcam in case someone tried to frame him. To date, City of Lies still doesn't have a US release date and hasn't gone to DVD Blu-ray. Although it appears to have had a limited release in Italy where the LAPD evidently has less influence. If you are one of the many 80s kids who has fond memories of watching E.T. on the big screen, you've probably wondered at some point why they never made a sequel. Surely that heartwarming tale of a boy's friendship with a friendly alien would have inspired at least a follow-up movie or two. As it turns out, there actually was a sequel to E.T. in the works, and thank all the lords of Hollywood and everything that is good in the universe that it was never actually made. If it was, it would have shattered the innocence of every one of those 80s kids. Know what we're talking about?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
The E.T. sequel was called Nocturnal Fears, and the plot was so ridiculous that one wonders whether Steven Spielberg was temporarily replaced by an actual alien when he was planning this freak show of a movie. According to Sci-Fi, the story included such suspenseful plot points as children being tortured and interrogated and cattle being mutilated, because what's more creative than an alien movie in which humans are probed and cattle are mutilated? Thankfully, at some point, Spielberg came to his senses and canceled the project. You'll be shocked to hear that some movies don't get made because Hollywood egos get in the way. It's true, and it's not always the actors who suffer from massive egos. Directors do too, and sometimes the people who are providing the money decide to back way up when confronted with these creative egomaniacs. According to Empire, that's exactly what happened with Paul Verhoeven's Crusade, an epic story of violence, racism, and anti-Semitism, which some people described as part Spartacus, part Conan. Crusade was going to star Arnold Schwarzenegger, everyone's favorite governor and manly man, and it was far enough along that the sets had already been built in Spain and the actors had already signed. Then, in the final studio meeting, someone had the audacity to ask Verhoeven if he could guarantee that the film's expenditures wouldn't exceed $100 million, and he proceeded to lose his mind. Schwarzenegger told Empire that Verhoeven flew into a rant about how guarantees don't happen, which included some nonsensical stuff about getting hit by a truck and not believing in God. Schwarzenegger said he kept kicking the director under his chair to get him to shut up, but according to him, he just wouldn't, and that was it. That was the end of that movie. Maybe Arnold should have been a little less subtle. Before Star Wars, there was Star Trek. But while the latter might have come first, it's Star Wars that has dominated popular culture since its debut. The ironic thing? The original Star Trek motion picture actually got canceled because of Star Wars. Yes, it's crazy but true. According to Den of Geek, the original Star Trek movie had an insane series of possible plots bandied about on the way to the big screen. These included everything from a machine hurtling through space pretending to be God to a race of vengeful snake people to a black hole and some Mayans. The writers finally settled on a story called Planet of the Titans, which would have had the Greek Titans living on the edge of a black hole. But even after they settled on a story, the movie was plagued by casting difficulties, creative disagreements, and finally a lack of vision about what fans might want. The film was originally set to film in 1976, but all these issues pushed it back to 1977, which is when Star Wars was set to hit theaters. And ultimately, all the pre-release buzz about Star Wars sealed the deal on the bizarre Star Trek movie. Some reportedly thought that Star Wars would flop, while others felt that either way, the market for science fiction wasn't big enough to support both franchises. Paramount chairman Barry Diller supposedly even said, "There's no future in science fiction." Nice call, Nostradamus. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.